Now students, in English medium mathematics lessons, in this part G.C.E level local syllabus exam, in this part I will explain about the graph, the part 2 lesson, that is quadratic graphs part 2, right? So in the early video I discussed quadratic graphs. So in this part I will discuss with you ax square, y is equal to x square plus bx plus c, where a is less than 0, that means a is negative. Right, now our part is y is equal to x square plus bx plus c type, where is less than 0. Right, now I'll explain you using this example. See, here function is y is equal negative x square minus 2x plus 5. So you have to complete this table, and you have to find this to complete the table, and you have to draw the graph of function, and using this graph you have to write answers for these questions, right? So there are 10 questions, right? Okay, now let's see how to find the values of y. So this is a table, so these are the three values we want to find. So first x value is negative 2, right? So then let's see how to fill this table, right? So now x is equal negative 2, right? When x is equal negative 2, we want to find the value of y. So remember function y is equal negative x square negative 2x plus 5, right? So substitute x as negative 2, right? Easy way. So here you can see here negative sign is there, right? So you have to keep that one outside of the bracket, right? So then we put x as negative 2, right? You can see here negative 2 is square minus here 2 into x means 2x means 2 into x, that means 2 should multiply by x value, that is negative 2, then you have to add 5. Okay, then be careful, a negative sign is there, that is outside the bracket, right? Next, see what happened. So here inside the bracket negative 2 is square. What is a negative 2 square? Negative 2 square means negative 2 into negative 2, that is positive 4. So positive 4, that should multiply by negative sign, right? That should multiply by negative sign, so that means that get negative 4. Then here what happened, 2x means 2 should multiply by x, that is negative 2 multiplied by negative 2, that is 2 into 2 4, positive 4, then plus 5. Then you can see here negative 4 positive 4, right? So you can see here same number different sign, same number different sign, so that means negative 4 positive 4, that is 0, that means only remain positive 5. So that is the value of y when x is equal negative 2, right? Let's move to next value when x is equal negative 1, right? So substitute in this function, so negative 1 is square, right? So negative sign is there also, right? This negative sign, then 2 into x, 2 into negative 1, then plus 5, right? So then take the value here. What is the value inside the bracket? Negative 1 is square means negative 1 into negative 1, that is positive 1, that should multiply by this negative sign, then you get negative 1. Then here negative 2 into negative 1, that is positive 2, right? Then plus 5. Then you can see here negative 1 positive 2, that is positive 1, that one add 5, that is positive 6. So that is the value of y. So last value is when x is equal 0, right? So the function substitute, here negative sign is there, right? So be careful, we keep in the negative sign. So then 0 is square into negative 2 into 0, that plus 5. So then you get here 0 is square means 0 into 0, that is also 0, that's multiplied by negative sign, no change, that is positive or negative 0, that is we write as 0, right? Now need to sign the of 0, right? Then here 2 into 0 is that is also 0, then plus 5, so here only positive 5, right? So that is the value of y when s is equal 0, right? Right, now let's move to the Roman number 3 of the question. So that one say, using the small 10 division, plot the graph of the function. Right, let's see, I have already draw the graph. Right, so you can plot this point easily. Right, come to x value and then y value, then you can draw the smooth curve. Right, so this is y equal negative x square minus 2x plus 5 function. Right, then let's move to the questions, students. So Roman number 4, maximum value of the function. You can see this is a maximum, right? So this is an parabola of maxima, right? You can see coefficient of x square is negative, right? So negative means this is maxima, right? So that has a maximum value, right? So you can see here, so this is the maximum value, right? So when you draw the graph this way, you come maximum value, that is here, right? You can see here, this is the maximum value that you can read here, that is now 6, right? 6 is the maximum value. Right, then move to next question. The coordinate of the turning point. Now you can see here, when you draw the graph this way, you can see the red line, red dot, and this come, then in this point you turn, right? Turn, this is the turning point, right? So this is the turning point. You can see here, what are the coordinate? How to read the coordinate? You have to read x coordinate and y coordinate. How to take the x coordinate? You have to go down to the x-axis, right? You can see here, so this is x value, right? X coordinate, so that is -1, right, within bracket. Then how to take the y coordinate? Go to along with y-axis, so that is, you can see, that is positive 6 comma 6. So this is the coordinate of turning point. Understand? Next, move to next question. The equation of axis of symmetry, you have to draw it, right? So remember, axis of symmetry means the line, you can divide this graph into two equal parts, right? You can see here, along this line, right, along this line you can divide this graph into two parts. So this is the axis of symmetry of the graph, so that's, you can see there. So this line is passing through x value. What is x value? That is -1. So that is the x equal -1 is the equation of axis of symmetry. Understand? Next one, Roman number 7. Right, the values of x, right, values of x for which y is equal 0, right? So be careful, y is equal 0, so draw the line y is equal 0, right? So you can see here, this is the y equal 0 line, y equal 0 line. So if you draw this y equal 0 line, you can see graph intersect 2 points, right? So in this y equals 0 line, graph intersect this point, right? So that is one x value. So how to read this x value? That is -3.4, right? Read carefully. Then another point is there, right? In this point also graph intersect. What is that point? That is x equal 1.4. So those are the values of x, right? Next one, range. The range of values of x for which function is positive. Function is positive, so be careful. Function is positive means above this, right, above this x line, right? You can see here, this is x line, above this x line function is positive, right? So y is positive, right? So above this x line, so then graph is, you can see here, graph is in this part. So in this part graph is positive, right? How to read the x values? Right, you have to write range, right? Within inequality is easy. So how to take x value? So you can read x value here, right? So you can see here, when the graphs moves this way, how x vary? X vary in this way, right? These are the range x vary. You have to read that one. So you can read this value, right? So you can read this value, you can read, see here, this is -3.4, right? So that, write that value. Then write the other value here. What is that value? Right, so that value is 1.4, right? So write those two values. Then you can write in the middle x. Now put the inequality, that you can get the range. Now see this value, -3.4, right? So these are the values we want. These are the values we want. You know this. These values are greater than -3.4. right? These values greater than negative 2, negative 1, those are greater than to negative 3.4. So these values we want, that means these are the x value we want, that means this value should greater than, right? Then go to 1.4, right? 1.4 is this one, so we want this value, so these values are less than to 1.4, right? Here less than to 1.4, these are the x value we want, so we want to write the range of values of x, right? Understand? Next one, see another range of values of x for which function is increasing negatively, right? So in early example you saw function is increasing and decreasing. Here this is the point we start to draw the graph, right? So when you start this way, what happened? Increasing this one, then after this turning point, that is decreasing, right? That is decreasing. So positive negative means, positive is above the x-axis, negative means above the below the x-axis. So here negatively, that means below part, that means increasing negatively, that means graph part is this small part, right? So the graph is also along this line, right? So now we want this part, right? So this part we want x range, right? So graphs move this way, right? These are the points moves. So what happened to x? So x is this way, right? So when graph moves this way, x is vary along this way. So that means you can read this point, right? So this point means, what is the value of this point? Negative 3.4, right? Then write x. So what are the values we want? We want this value, this value. These values are greater than or less than, these values are less than to negative 3.4. Those are the x range, right? We wrote x range. Right, next, Roman number 10. The root of the equation negative x square negative 2x plus 5 equals 0, right? Root. Now see the function, right? So if you see the function, students, so see this is the graph we draw, right? So this is the function. So this is the geometrical representation of the function. So here, see what happen if I make here, see this is the function we want. So what is the difference between two functions, right? This is function, this is equation. So this equation y is 0, right? You can see here y is 0. So in this function, if you make y is 0 here, right? You can see here y is 0, you get this type of quadratic equation. So that means when this graph y is 0, x values is the solution of this equation, right? So let's see, x values are the solution of this equation, right? Let's see how to find. So what are the x values, right? When y is 0, along this x-axis. So this is one point, right? This is another point, right? So you can read this point, x is equal negative 3.4. Then other point is here, y is 0, right? X value, that is 1.4. So those are the 2 points, right? So be careful to find solution of equation. Alright students, now in the coming of next video, right, you can see, you can learn this type of graph. I'll discuss with you. See, y equal plus or minus x plus a square plus or minus b type graphs. So keep in touch. So this is example I am going to explain with you. Y equal x plus 2 square minus 3 types graph, right? So keep in touch, right? Then Also how to find square roots, right, using graph, right? So in this example I discussed with you how to find the square root 3 using graph.